Learn English through story. A Lover's Secret. In the town of Bristow, where cobblestone streets wound between narrow rows of brick houses, life was simple and predictable. The townspeople all knew one another, gossip traveled faster than the wind, and privacy was a luxury few could afford. Yet in this quiet town, nestled by the river, a secret affair blossomed, one that would challenge the notions of trust, loyalty, and desire. Lena was a woman of quiet beauty, known for her gentle demeanor and her skill in the art of painting. She had lived in Bristow all her life, married for 5 years to Jacob, a kind and steady man who worked as a carpenter. Together, they had built a comfortable life via a modest home, a garden in the back, and a routine that mirrored the rhythm of the town. But despite the outward calm, Lena felt something missing in her heart. Jacob was a good man, reliable and loving, but their life together lacked the passion and excitement she had once dreamed of. It wasn't until a summer evening, when a stranger arrived in Bristow, that Lena's life would take an unexpected turn. His name was Adrian, a writer from the city, renting a small cottage on the edge of town to escape the distractions of urban life. He was tall, with dark hair that curled slightly at the edges, and eyes that gleamed with intelligence and mischief. Adrian had come to Bristow to find solitude for his work, but he soon found himself captivated by the beauty of the Tona and by Lena. Their paths first crossed in the local market, where Lena was buying paints from a vendor. Adrian, noticing the soft glow of her face and the quiet confidence with which she moved, struck up a conversation. There was something about him that intrigued Lena. His words were sharp, his humor quick, and he seemed to see right through her, as though he could read the restlessness she kept hidden beneath her calm exterior. As the weeks passed, their encounters became more frequent. Adrian would visit Lena at her painting studio, bringing with him books and stories from the city. He would sit by her side as she painted, watching the way her hands moved with grace and precision. Their conversations grew deeper, more intimate, and soon they were meeting in secret, away from the eyes of the town. At first, Lena resisted the growing attraction she felt for Adrian. She told herself it was harmless, that she was merely enjoying the company of someone different from the people she had known all her life. But deep down, she knew she was walking a dangerous path. Adrian stirred something in her that she hadn't felt in years, a longing for adventure, for passion, for something beyond the confines of her quiet, predictable life. One evening, under the cover of darkness, Lena and Adrian met at the edge of the riverbank. The moonlight shimmered on the water, and the air was thick with the scent of summer flowers. As they stood close together, the tension between them became unbearable, and in a moment of weakness, Lena leaned in and kissed him. The kiss was electric, igniting a fire within her that she hadn't realized she was capable of feeling. For a moment, all her doubts and fears disappeared, and she was lost in the sensation of being wanted, of being alive. But when the kiss ended, the weight of what she had done crashed down on her like a tidal wave. She pulled away from Adrian, her heart pounding with guilt. "This is wrong," she whispered, her voice trembling. "I'm married." Adrian looked at her, his gaze soft but unrelenting. "I know, but can you honestly tell me you're happy?" Lena didn't answer. She couldn't. She loved Jacob in her own way, but it wasn't the kind of love that made her heart race or her soul sing. It was comfortable, steady, predictably, and in that moment, she realized it wasn't enough for her. The affair with Adrian continued, though Lena swore to herself it would end soon. Each time they met, She promised it would be the last. But each time, the pull between them grew stronger, and the secrecy of their meetings only heightened the intensity of their passion. They stole moments in hidden corners of the town, exchanging whispered words and stolen glances, always careful to avoid the prying eyes of the townspeople. But secrets have a way of surfacing, no matter how carefully they are buried. One afternoon, as Lena returned home from one of her secret rendezvous with Adrian, she found Jacob waiting for her in the kitchen. His face was pale, his eyes clouded with concern. "I ran into Mrs. Wells today," he said quietly, referring to one of their nosy neighbors. "She said she saw you with someone by the riverbank." "A man." Lena's heart skipped a beat, her stomach knotting with fear. She forced herself to stay calm, to brush off the accusation. She must be mistaken. "I was painting by the river alone." But Jacob's eyes searched her face, and Lena knew in that moment that he sensed the truth. He didn't press her further, though, and for the next few days, their home was filled with a heavy silence. Lena's guilt grew with each passing moment, and she began to see the cracks forming in her once perfect marriage. The turning point came one evening, just after dusk. Jacob had been distant since his conversation with Mrs. Wells, but that night, as they sat together in the living room, he finally spoke. "Lena," he said, his voice quiet but firm, "I know something's been bothering you. You've seemed different for weeks now, and I don't want to lose you. But I need you to tell me the truth. Is there someone else?" Lena felt her heart shatter in that moment. She had never seen Jacob look so vulnerable, so afraid. She could see the love he still had for her in his eyes, and the last thing she wanted was to hurt him. But the truth was already out there, lingering between them like an unspoken confession. Tears welled in her eyes as she looked at him, unable to hold back the truth any longer. "Yes," she whispered, her voice breaking. "There's someone else." The room fell into a deafening silence, broken only by the sound of Jacob's labored breathing. He looked away from her, his hands trembling slightly as he tried to process the words. When he finally spoke, his voice was barely above a whisper. "Why?" Lena swallowed the lump in her throat, guilt washing over her like a tidal wave. "I didn't mean for it to happen. I love you, Jacob, I do. But something's been missing for a long time. I didn't even realize it until I met him." Jacob closed his eyes, the pain of her words etched into every line of his face. For a long time, neither of them spoke. The silence between them was thick, oppressive, filled with the weight of unspoken emotions. Finally, Jacob stood and walked to the window, staring out into the darkening sky. "I thought we were happy," he said softly, more to himself than to her. "I thought we had everything." "We do," Lena said, her voice pleading, "but it's not just about that. There's a part of me that I've been hiding for so long, even from myself. And when I met Adrian, I felt alive in a way I hadn't in years. But it doesn't mean I don't love you." Jacob turned to face her, his eyes filled with a mixture of sadness and resignation. "Love isn't just about feeling alive, Lena. It's about being there for each other, through the mundane, the hard times, the quiet moments." "I thought we had that." Lena lowered her gaze, unable to meet his eyes. She knew he was right. She had betrayed him in the worst possible way, chasing after a fleeting thrill instead of confronting the real issues in their marriage. And now, the consequences of her actions were staring her in the face. After what felt like an eternity, Jacob sighed heavily and walked toward the door. "I need some time to think," he said, his voice hollow. I don't know what this means for us yet, but I need to be alone for a while. As he left the house, Lena felt the weight of her decision crashing down on her. She had thought the affair with Adrian would bring her the excitement she craved, but now she realized it had only torn apart the life she had built with Jacob. The passion she had felt with Adrian had been intoxicating, but it was fleeting, a temporary escape from the deeper issues she had been avoiding. Days passed, and Jacob remained distant, spending his time away from the house, lost in his thoughts. Lena, too, found herself reflecting on the choices she had made, the lies she had told, and the damage she had caused. She no longer saw Adrian, and though part of her missed the thrill of their secret meetings, she knew that the price had been too high. One evening, as Lena sat alone in the garden, Jacob returned home. He sat down beside her, the weight of the past few weeks still hanging between them. "I've been thinking," Jacob said quietly, "about us." "About what happened?" Lena looked at him, her heart heavy with guilt. "I'm sorry," she whispered. "I never meant to hurt you." "I know," Jacob said, his voice soft but steady, "but things can't go back to the way they were." "We both know that." Lena nodded, tears welling in her eyes. "What do we do now?" Jacob was silent for a moment, then reached out and took her hand in his. "We start over. We rebuild. But this time, we do it together, honestly. No more secrets." In that moment, Lena realized the true meaning of love. It wasn't about the excitement of passion or the thrill of secrecy. It was about trust, honesty, and the willingness to face the hard truths together. She had made a terrible mistake, but Jacob's willingness to forgive, to give their marriage another chance, showed her the strength of the love they had. The affair with Adrian had been a temporary escape, but in the end, it had taught Lena a valuable lesson. Love isn't about the rush of new desire. It's about the quiet, enduring connection between two people who are willing to face life's challenges together. True love is built on trust, honesty, and commitment, not fleeting passion. Chasing after temporary excitement can lead to destruction, but facing the challenges of a relationship with honesty and forgiveness can bring deeper, more meaningful fulfillment. I hope you enjoyed the story. If you enjoyed, then please like and share this video, and don't forget to subscribe our YouTube channel. Thank you for watching.